Can you not see that I have bigger problems? Winter is almost here, and I have an entire village to feed.
Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time. My name's Gareth, and this is Books, Songs and Other Magic. And for this video, I'm going to be doing a little tag, which I don't normally do. I haven't done this tag before, but it's an old thing that lots of people do. Some of the really big booktubers like Eric Carl Anderson and Savage Reads, channels like that, have done this tag. And I've seen it around, but never thought of doing it myself. But I saw this tag, which was done by Brett's Book Stack, and it was a channel I didn't know, but it came up on my suggestions. Brett's Book Stack. So I watched his video, and I watched a few other videos here. It's really good. I'm going to link it below. And it was just exactly the right moment for me to think, actually, this is what I should be doing. So it's a really nice tag called 10 Before the End. 10 Before the End. So 10 books that you're going to read before the end of the year. The reason why it's really good timing is it's a nice way for me to talk about the book challenges or book events that are leading my decisions about this, but also it's a way of me looking forward to reading these things. So it's going to be nice to talk about what I'm going to read, because I've got these plans for the next couple of months. It's also in reference to Read What You Own challenge, because these are all books I own. And I'm hoping that you guys, some of you might have an opinion about some of these books to make it more interesting as well. So we'll have a little bit of a dialogue going on. But at 10 Before the End, 10 books that I'm going to read before the end of the year. And the thing is, on average, I read about 7 or 8 books a month on average. And that means if I've got another 2 months, I'm kind of seeing this as 2 months, because October's kind of wrapped up with other things. But 2 months, 10 books, 2 months, that means there's not a lot spare. And at least one of the books is pretty big. So it is actually quite ambitious for me to say 10 books specifically now, because I might change my mind. But these are 10 books that I am pretty certain I'm going to read between now and the end of the year. So between now and the 1st of January. So I'm not just thinking between now and Christmas, but that following week as well, leading up to the new year. I may be able to sort of finish these off then as well. Also, just want to add another caveat that before the Read What You Own challenge starts on November the 5th, I am actually going to London. So I'm going to London on a week on Tuesday. So the Tuesday of the half-term week, I'm going to London. So I'm going there expecting to buy some books. So I may have something else that I really, I might find something I've been desperate to read. I don't know. But they may be just things I wanted to add to my collection, though I'm not in a massive hurry to read. I don't know. But anyway, that is a thing that could also influence these things. But these are 10 books that I'm going to read before the end of the year. So, the first thing I'm going to mention is Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. So I recently read Convenience Store Woman. I put the book review video on this channel. So check it out if you're curious. I really liked it. And it wasn't what I was expecting. It wasn't anything like I was expecting. This is apparently more wild in its approach and its delivery. So I look forward to reading this. So that's going to be read in November probably. In November probably. So that's definitely one of the ones that I'm going to be reading. Also, I'm trying to build up my Adrian Tchaikovsky reads. So I've recently read Children of Memory, and I put my review of the whole Children of Time series on the channel as well recently. So if you're curious about that, have a look at that. But I've got his two new books as well, which I'm really keen to read. So the first one is the one I'm most excited about, is Alien Clay. So I'm going to read Alien Clay in November, and possibly as a buddy read with Dave, I'm not sure. I mean, we've talked about Cage of Souls for ages, but these two new ones have kind of superseded that in my head. but I have heard Cage of Souls is amazing, so I am really looking forward to reading it. But Alien Clay, I'm definitely going to be reading in November, possibly with Dave. And Service Model as well is an Android story that sounds amazing. So I really want to read this as well. So that's also in my priorities for November. Can I just say as well that these are in reference to me wanting to give a nod to the New Worlds November event. It was started by Scott and Becky at the Bookish Bryants. And the reason why I wanted to make sure I read science fiction in November with reference to that event is that I still wanted to honour Scott, who died this year. I still think about the fact that we've lost Scott, and I wanted to honour that by making sure that I was reading some science fiction in November. So just wanted to add that because it is genuinely part of my decision making on what I'm reading. This is a combination of, these next two actually are a combination of that thing I've just said about, but also these two also reference the Banned Books project. So I wanted to read some of those things that cross over two things. So the Banned Books project, MJ started the Banned Books project of reading 24 books in 2024. So I'm not going to get to 24 books, but I'm going to read 24 books as soon as I can and have that as my contribution to the event. But it'll probably spill over into January, maybe February as well. I'm not sure. But anyway, so I wanted to combine that with the New Worlds November thing. So these are science fiction books that have been banned. So I'm rereading Brave New World because literally it was decades and decades ago that I read this. I read this as a teenager, so a long time ago. So Brave New World is one of the books I'll be reading as part of the Banned Books project and my intention to read science fiction in November. And also one I haven't read, but it comes highly recommended by the entire planet, and that's Octavia Butler's Kindred. So I have read Parable and Sower, but I haven't read Kindred, so I need to read this. So I'm sure I'm going to love it. But regardless of that, I'm going to find out what I think when I've read it. It's a banned book that is science fiction, so it covers both those things. So that's kind of November, maybe with a few other things as well. There are a couple of other things I've got in mind, actually, that I really want to leave room for. But I'll talk about that nearer the time. December is going to start with a buddy read. And as I say, this is a big book. So this is a big chunky book. What is it? 570 pages. Nearly 600 pages. 580 pages. 580 pages. So it's a big one for me. And quite small type. But I really want to read this. This is one of the this is one of the Banned Books project books as well. And I'm going to be reading this with Kim from Middle of the Book March. And that's Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. So this was one of the first ones I put on my priorities for reading for the Banned Books project. And it's taken me this long to get to it because it's so big. But I really want to read this. And I thought, well, because December is going to be concentrating on banned books, I thought, well, let's get this one down. And then when Kim mentioned it, I said, would you like to buddy read it? So that would be more fun. So we're going to buddy read it together. But Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison is my priority when December starts. And then, to carry on the Banned Books project that MJ started, I'm going to read Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin. So I'm trying to read lots of more James Baldwin if I can. And that's a different thing. This one I really want to read as part of this project because this was the one that kicked off the project for MJ, and that was The Perks of Being a Wallflower. So this was the book that she read that made her want to encourage other people to read books that have been challenged or banned, and started this 24BB event. So I'm definitely going to read this because this was the one that kicked it off. So I'm going to read that in December. And this is kind of the big one that I really wanted to include because I am extremely curious. I'm a little bit, I don't know, I'm just fascinated by the whole thing, but I haven't read it yet. So that's Lolita. So if I can finish the year off, if by reading one of the most notorious books that I know about, and a book that probably some people could argue should be banned. I don't know. I haven't read it, so it'd be interesting to find out my feelings on it. A lot of people say that the subject is disturbing and plain wrong, but the writing makes it a beautiful book, which is kind of interesting. So I'm going to read this to see if I can relate to any of that. And that's possibly where December ends, but that's only the 9th book, because this is the 10th book, and this is a reference to my Ray Bradbury deep dive, and this is the next book on my deep dive. So I need to do a video about Golden Apples of the Sun, but I've got a few more stories to finish off with that. But once I've done that, I'm going to be reading Dandelion Wine. So I think Cliff from Cliff Stark Gems really loves this book. So that's, you know, great that Cliff talks about this a fair bit on his channel, I think, from what I remember. But I haven't read this for a long time. So it is one I've read. So it's a reread, but I'm looking forward to reading it again as an older adult. And I am finding that Ray Bradbury stuff is more effective as an older adult, I think, quite often. But my deep dive brings me to Dandelion Wine at the end of the year. And there we go. So lots of events combined there. And potentially a few buddy reads. Let me know what you think of those books. Let me know if you want to buddy read any of those. And thanks so much for watching. Thanks for all the support. And stay curious, everybody.
Paint me a picture of what it's like to be you. Sit up on your high chair.